Now, the dividing lines between the opposition political groups in Nigeria are looking like they're becoming less stark by the day. Those previous divisions that appeared to cleave the bloc into many tessellated parts now seem like they're shaping into the formation of a solid alliance of many groups that will challenge President Tinubu in 2027. Among the many personalities and associations that have come together in this national opposition coalition is the League of Northern Democrats, a group of high-ranking northern Nigerians who want to become the new voice for the interests and people of the region, especially as 2027 draws ever closer. They say they ardently support the coalition for bringing together disparate groups under one umbrella. But as of yet, it's not clear whether that umbrella will fuse into an existing political party or formally constitute and register a new one. What is clear is that battle lines are now almost set, and the parties on both sides of the divide are already beginning to warm up for the big political show in 2027. Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the convener of the League of Northern Democrats, Dr. Umar Ardo, one of the prominent members of the new National Opposition Coalition. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.
Thank you very much, Charles.
So where does your group, the League of Northern Democrats, fit into this opposition coalition, the talks that are going on as well?
Okay, I got myself into the group on personal level and operated within some parameters, and I saw it is best if we get the league to be part of it. And thank God yesterday we had a general meeting and members endorsed as our communique short.
Right.
That they agreed to be part of it, and then they'll contribute in the dialogue in shaping it.
Right.
So I am happy with that. I believe if things are done rightly, the defeating of President Tinubu in 2027 will not be that much of an uphill task. But we have to operate on an even platform, guided by the law, guided by the rules. If we will play by the rules, then we have no problem in removing President Tinubu. But it is the act of playing outside the rules that is our problem, and it is the problem of the nation. So politically, I don't have any problem with that. With what we have, the only problem is the operating of extra-constitutional oppression, and that is not good for the system.
Well, I mean, we'll have to see how it evolves. But from the point of view of the League of Northern Democrats, you want the opposition coalition to metamorphose into a new party rather than fusing into an already existing smaller party. Is that what's the argument for that?
Yes, okay. We propose to have, it is best for us to have a registered political party, newly registered, where all members, all groups, all platforms, all political parties also will now have space to operate in. And it rather starts the fight from now. Starts the campaign from now. You test the institution, like INEC. You test the institution, like the judiciary, and see what role they will play, in the transitional politics. So, but joining another political party, I have talked with so many people, including some members of the LND and even its leadership, that people who are in the bigger political parties, the well-established political parties, with governors, with this and that, and those, that is PDP and APC, they may feel, many of them do feel actually, that how can we go into a smaller political party? The only groups that will go into a smaller political parties, are those who have their support for the key gladiators. But there are thousands and thousands of independent party men with their aspirations, with their ambitions, wanting to have a political space to express them. They will feel constrained in such an arrangement. And that is why we met. And then you need to. And
did you make that argument?
Of course, we made all this argument. As we submitted our report in our committee, those who say we want new registration.
Right. But of course, there are other arguments and positions that support the coalition moving into a smaller party, such as the ADC or the SDP. So for the moment, would it be...
What are those arguments?
Well, I mean, they're innumerable. I don't have to adduce their own arguments.
So because
the point they made, I mean, we had the chairman of the ADC here yesterday, Ralph Nwosu, and the argument that he made was that it was better, given the shortage of time.
There's no shortage of time.
Well, let me make the point. Given the shortage of time to the next election, and I don't speak for him, I'm simply adducing the point that he made, that given the shortage of time, and given the fact that you're going to have to register it, come up with this, that, and the other thing, and so on, that there is, it makes more sense for there to be a platform that's already in existence. And in fact, I would ask you, what the argument is, because you were at the meeting. I wasn't at the meeting. And I was going to ask you, I mean, you made your own arguments. What argument did they make?
They narrated a story, but they did not justify, one justification for that.
Well, to you, they did.
To me, and I raised it there. I raised it in the meeting. I said I listened attentively to what they said, but so I don't want to go into that. Actually. What we believe in is that we need a functional coalition that must have to face the leadership and
of course, you could argue that, I mean, to be fair, your proposal for a new party is still very much in the long grass at the moment, because, I think they assigned committee members or something to go and assess.
The agreement is that they can take both. They can take both the fusing into a party and then registering a new election, which to me didn't make much sense.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense. But I mean, I thought the point was that they had assigned portfolios to people to go and examine these things and then come back and report to the group.
No, the committees were set and they responded. They submitted their reports.
Right. So nothing agreed yet for a vehicle that will drive this opposition coalition?
I think what is agreed is that they are going to, both fuse into a smaller political party and at the same time register another political party. I think this is what
how is that supposed to work?
I don't know. I don't know. It's not, for me, I said, let's just register a new political party. And the time factor that they are saying, what is the time? What does the law say? 90 days. Within 90 days, INEC can register us. And at 6 months to the election day, we have enough time. In 2013, by this time, the application of APC was with INEC.
Yeah, but if you register a party, and you get into that party, and then another group gets into the ADC or SDP or whatever. I mean, doesn't that kind of tessellate the unity that you're trying to, the alliance you're trying to forge?
It does.
From the outset, you're defeating yourself.
It does. That is why it does. That is why, if my argument or our side of the argument of registering political party is not accepted, we are willing to, go into the coalition as it is, to fuse into it.
But I mean, the problem is that Nigerian politicians come across as just incredibly disputatious, don't they? I mean, there's always something that they're fighting over and arguing over. And those things can, except when they're in power, then there is a kind of a hierarchy where, oh my God, the president is everything. I mean, you see what I mean? Because he's got all the power.
Yeah.
And everybody kind of, gravitates towards him. But once that is not there, it just becomes, I mean, there's all these arguments and quarrels and, very disputatious. And that can be very, that can really break the back of what you're trying to achieve.
Because how can you achieve something in an atmosphere of lawlessness? How? Let us look at the lawlessness that are fundamental, that break the constitution of this country, and we are allowing it. For me, in the opposition, it's not actually really about what political platform. It's about fighting and ensuring that constitution is obeyed. I give a simple example. Everybody sees it. The members of the legislature in Delta, they moved from their party to another political party against the clear provision of the Constitution, Section 68, 1G.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that in a minute because I wanted to finish this. I wanted to ask you that question. Yes. So we're going to come to it in a second. So just hold your thought there.
Yes.
What I wanted to find out from you is how much are the PDP and the Labour Party officially involved in these opposition coalition negotiations? And I'm not talking about
I don't know.
I'm not talking about independent or rogue members of either party, but in their official capacity.
I don't know. I don't know. I have not seen any official of PDP or so. I know that of PDP, many of them. Right. But I don't know the officials of APC.
Because I mean, I'm not talking about APC. I said either PDP or Labour Party.
Or Labour. I don't know who are
we're not expecting the APC to join you
Okay,
guys.
Sorry, it's asleep.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone. I don't know Labour. I don't know.
The reason I say that is that one of the arguments you made for registering a new political party is that people coming from the bigger opposition parties would not necessarily want to go into the smaller ones.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm wondering whether you saw any evidence of the presence of the PDP or Labour there, because if you don't have those parties, I mean, that's going to make you
not from the
a small party.
It's not from the executive.
Right.
But membership. All of them are members, including me, members of different political parties.
Right.
I belong to SDP. Some belong to Labour, some belong to ANPP, some belong to APC, some belong to PDP, some independent.
Right. But all of you are coming together to create a
all
new
of us
party.
All of us are agreed that the country is sliding.
Right.
It's sliding into...
Right. So if you were to, I mean, you formed the coalition already. It's just a matter of the vehicle that you're going to use to challenge, because you have to do it through a political party.
Yes.
I mean, what does that mean? That you would not only now be challenging the APC, you're also challenging the PDP, Labour, and all the rest of them in an election?
Yeah. If we organize ourselves...
Does that make it more difficult?
No, not at all. Because you see, you ride on the mood of the nation. The people are not happy. Generally, people...
Yeah, but the PDP feels this, they make the same argument.
No,
the people are not happy. Labour makes the same argument.
Yeah.
I mean,
so it is the basis upon which, to change government. So all you need is just to get a good approach. Get a good approach and then use it and you change the government.
But if Labour and the PDP, who collectively, just those two groups, won over 13 million votes, I mean, if they're not in your coalition, you're I mean, it's not going to be easy for you, is it, to challenge President Tinubu?
The Labour leadership, the Labour person that has the 6 million votes is in the coalition. The PDP person that has the over 6 million votes,
that's Atiku, and
is in the coalition, right? And so many others.
Okay.
So if the two of them come together, the game is over.
Right.
From the calculation, that you are making.
Assuming that the vote was specifically for them as individuals.
Thank you. Because I'm taking from your argument.
Right.
Yeah.
And are you and those who want a brand new party in the coalition, from your assessment of that meeting yesterday, in the minority or the majority?
Oh, very much in the minority.
Right. So most other people just want to go into an existing
go into an existing political party,
right.
yeah.
And you're happy to go with the flow if it came to
I'm
that.
not happy. You know, because
but you will accept it.
I will accept.
I mean, it'll be a case of having to accept.
Having to accept, certainly. Right. And then hoping that it will produce good.
Right. So do you expect to, I mean, you don't expect that this position that you take and the position that the others take is going to lead to some kind of factional fighting within the coalition?
If I say to you that if the decision is taken,
right.
that we go to fuse, we will join grudgingly whatever and praying and hoping and working hard to see that at least our initial thoughts are maybe after all wrong.
Right.
So that is it.
Okay.
So there will be no problem.
Right. Well, let's get to that point that you were making previously, and I apologize that I kind of moved on from there, but let's return to it. Beyond the role you're playing in this national opposition coalition, the League of Northern Democrats that you convened has also resolved to become a pressure group.
In other words, an association. We've been trying to, maybe from our community, we've been trying to register, yes, we just finished,
Yeah, but theoretically you're a pressure group.
Yes, certainly.
And one of the things you aim to do is to mobilize Nigerians to join a civil resistance against the leadership of the National Assembly with the aim of forcing them to declare the seats of all the legislators in Delta and Kebbi states who defected to the APC vacant. That's quite a big job you've set out for yourself.
Yeah, it's an aspiration, and we will canvass for it. Whether people are going to accept and do it is another thing. But unless it is done, we won't go anywhere. See, any game must have to have set rules. These rules guide them. If you don't play, by the rules, there is no game. So the rule is our constitution. The constitution says that if somebody in the legislature at the national level crosses, and the state too crosses from the sponsored political party to another political party, he, without a faction in the political party that sponsored him, he should vacate his seat. Subsection 2 says that the leadership of the respective house, whether it's Senate, the Senate President, or House of Representatives, or Speaker, House of Assembly, shall declare these seats vacant and communicate to INEC to conduct election. And in interpreting this provision of the Constitution, the Supreme Court of Nigeria, 7 justices of the Supreme Court, decided, led by, I think, Justice Musa Dattijo, that this faction that the Constitution is saying shall take the entire gamut of the political party to the national level. It shall be to the national level. Now, is PDP having such a faction? The answer is no. PDP is not having such a faction. Then why did the Senate President and the Speaker House of Representatives and the other speakers of the House of Assemblies refuse to declare those seats vacant and uphold and protect and defend the provision of the Constitution, which they swore by God with their Bible, with their Quran in their hands to uphold? They didn't do that. So, and there is a clear interpretation of this. You want people to go to court again? Well, what would the court do? The only aspect that will resolve this thing is civil protest, civil resistance.
I was wondering whether it wouldn't be easier, perhaps more likely to achieve tangible results if you went in a specific case rather than relying
specific case to where? On court?
Relying, yeah, well, I mean, there are people who defected from the PDP to the APC from Kebbi State.
Yes.
And the same thing
with
No. I mean, wouldn't it be easier rather than hitting the streets?
No, it is not at all.
Right.
From your accent, you know America very well. The civil rights movements in the United States were preceded by several, court cases. Some they throw away, some they give judgment, no implementation, nothing. So the blacks came on civil resistance.
Right.
And civil resistance solved the problem fundamentally, yes, Martin Luther King lost his life, but he's also the person that America is giving a public holiday as an individual. So I went to court 14 times on various aspects of constitutional breachment. The courts didn't do much, not at all. So the only thing that is left is for us to come up with civil resistance. And let me tell you, and that is how APC defeated PDP. The civil resistance on a policy, not even a constitutional issue, on a policy of subsidy, fuel subsidy. They went into a protest. If we can mobilize people, Nigerians, the opposition, and go to the National Assembly and with all sort of placards, implement the provision of the Constitution. Section 68 is dead. What happens to this? All sort of it, and say that we will not live here until the Senate President and the Speaker declare these seats vacant. I guarantee you, on the fifth day at the highest, they will do so, especially if the crowd keeps on increasing. Yeah. We need to halt this because it's the only way for us to play, by the... it's a
last resort, is it?
It's a last resort to infuse constitutionalism in our system. So that, look, if it is an issue of wit, strategy and so on, yeah, we do it on the field with the rules intact. So that you see who is Ronaldo, who is this, but you cannot take the ball with your right and then score it and then the referee will blow that it is a goal.
Yeah,
and this is what is happening in our politics.
Yeah.
And allowing it to continue is the biggest problem for this transitional politics.
Yeah, you have a point there. Let me move away from that as we await whatever action that you're going to take and whether or not you can actually mobilize the people. What's your reaction to the recent endorsement of President Tinubu as the sole presidential candidate for 2027? I mean, he was just at their conference that they held, and all the different groups within the ABC came out and just said, look, you're the man.
I know. It reminds me of the transitional politics between 2011 to 2015, when I in fact took the president to court that he shouldn't, he was not eligible to contest.
That was Jonathan.
Jonathan then. Yeah. At that time, 21 governors, PDP governors, all of them endorsed, Jonathan. More than 10, about thousands of groups all over every day. You were here. Yeah. You saw endorsing Jonathan. The National Assembly endorsing Jonathan. The caucus of the party, all these things endorsing Jonathan. And at the end of they did a polls, I was told, and that the polls told them that if they held the election that day, Jonathan was going to lose. In spite of all this. So they had to now shift the election by 6 weeks, I think. So, and then the matrix didn't change after 6 weeks. So these ones, they are just in the form of Jonathans. But the difference is that the Jonathan one came maybe about 1 year or so before the election. But President Tinubu's own, he started from the blow of the whistle. Usually, it is the opposition that wants to remove incumbent that starts early. But when you see incumbent starting early like this, the incumbent is frightened. Well, it's a sign of fright.
I mean, some would argue against that because he's not actually starting campaigning. It's people around him who are doing that. But beyond that, he's also absorbing as much of the opposition as possible. And he's starting to do that absorption in good time.
Let him do this absorption lawfully. If this absorption are done lawfully, constitutionally, I will be ready to be absolved myself.
In other words, if the people carpet cross, they should lose their seats.
They should lose their seats. Yeah. We are playing by the Constitution. And it is the responsibility of the President and all the legislators to play by this Constitution. If not so, why are we going to go into election? In any case, 4-year term is also a constitutional provision. So why should we obey it? We cannot pick and choose. what to obey.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And on that note, I want to thank you very much indeed. Dr. Umar Ardo is the convener of the League of Northern Democrats. He's one of the prominent members of the new National Opposition Coalition. Good to see you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
I appreciate it.